It's 8 p.m. in Banjul. This is GRTS News, broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. We begin with our top stories this hour. His Excellency President Adama Barrow presides over the swearing-in ceremony of 2 permanent secretaries at a ceremony held at the State House. A 2-day sensitization of stakeholders on Ecowas trade protocols for an improved free movement of goods across the region kicks off in Kololi. A 2-day interfaith dialogue meant to promote peaceful coexistence amongst people from different religious and cultural backgrounds is underway in the country. Away from home, Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest reigning monarch, dies aged 96. And UK Prime Minister Liz Truss pays tribute to Queen Elizabeth II following her death aged 96. Well, details of these and other stories coming ahead in this edition of the news at 2000 hours. I am Fatumata Cham. Many thanks for joining us. This is GRTS News at 2000 hours. We begin this bulletin with the presidency as His Excellency President Adama Barrow today presided over the swearing-in ceremony of 2 permanent secretaries at a ceremony held at the State House. Dr. Yusufa Toure and Aliu Njai were appointed permanent secretaries at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology and the Ministry of Environment. The duo took the oaths of office, allegiance and secrecy at a ceremony at the State House. Dr. Yusufa Toure, and this report by Mamadou Diallo tells us more.
The new permanent secretary at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Dr. Yusufa Toure, was the first to be sworn in at the ceremony at State House.
I, Dr. Yusufa Toure, having been appointed as permanent secretary, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of the Gambia according to law. So help me God.
Dr. Toure is a seasoned professional with a proven track record at the Higher Education Ministry. Speaking to GRTS after taking his oaths, Dr. Toure expressed gratitude to the President for the trust and confidence, whilst also pledging to live up to expectations.
We have a renewed commitment, to push the agenda of teacher education, to also push the agenda of youth empowerment, that is with the establishment of TVET centers across the country, and also strengthening those centers that are already existing. We are also looking at education from the STEM perspective, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematics, more so engineering, and the sciences. We are establishing this new university along that line that is going to train people to become entrepreneurs, in the sciences, in engineering.
Aliu Njai, the newly appointed permanent secretary at the Ministry of Environment, was also sworn in.
I, Aliu Njai, having been appointed as permanent secretary, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of the Gambia according to the law. So help me God. Until
his appointment, Mr. Njai was a diplomat at the Gambia's High Commission in London. He sees his appointment as a challenge to further serve his country and people, whilst also returning gratitude to President Barrow for the trust.
It is a challenge that I was looking for, and then looking for in the sense that it is for the interest of the country. I'm here to serve the government of the Gambia, to serve the people of the Gambia to the best of my ability. So in that regard, as you have heard of our oath, the oath is, to ensure that you do things with dedication, commitment, and honesty. And that is things that we're looking forward.
The oaths were administered by the Secretary of Cabinet, Ibrahim Sise. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
And on a rather sad note, Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch and head of Commonwealth countries, has died at Balmoral, aged 96, after reigning for 70 years. The Queen came to the throne in 1952 and witnessed enormous social change. With her death, Her eldest son, Charles, the former Prince of Wales, will lead the country in mourning as the new king and head of state for 14 Commonwealth realms. In a statement, Buckingham Palace said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
This is BBC News from London. Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. In a statement, the palace said the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. BBC Television is broadcasting this special programme reporting the death of Her Majesty the Queen.
We are continuing our coverage of the death of the Queen Elizabeth because it would be recalled that the Queen has toured British colonies in Africa and Gambia is not an exception. Well, joining us live on the line to talk on that historic visit and the death of the British longest serving monarch is Hassum Ceesay, the director of the National Center for Arts and Culture. A very good evening to you, Hassum. Welcome to GRTS News.
Hi, Fatma, how are you?
Very well. Now, it is a sad day for the world, the Gambia included. What do you say of this moment in history following the death of the British longest-serving monarch?
Well, it is indeed the end of an era in British, life. She was like you rightly said, the longest-serving monarch, and it looks like it would be a very, very tall order to really outdo her, as far as longevity is concerned. She had, some special, attachment to the Gambia, and like we said in the introduction, during her tour of, former colonies and in the early 1960s, she visited the Gambia just at the dawn of independence. That was in the first week of December, 1961. She spent 3 days here. Went to Njawara, went to Birkama for a chiefs, conference. We had a very, very, mediatized, tour of the Victoria Hospital.
Right.
In fact, it was because of her visit on that day at the hospital that the hospital was, rebaptized the Royal Victoria Hospital. In honor of her grandmother, Queen Victoria.
Right.
But much earlier in 1925, her father as Prince of Wales also visited, and then her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, also visited in 1957. For 3 days also. So in fact, the husband, visited the Gambia before the Queen, and in 61, she and the husband again came to the Gambia. And in addition to that, the Queen was really at the center of, the entire, decolonization process, of the country. In fact, she signed, on our instruments of independence, for the Gambia to become independent. on the 18th of February 1965.
Right, quite interesting events there, Hasum. Now, Her Majesty the Queen has served, 70 years on the throne, experiencing different geopolitical events spanning generations around the world. What impact did her rule have on the UK as well as the world as a whole?
Well, I think, the impact is really, very, very, positive, because the monarchy is a tradition. One, very sad thing is, to colonize us, they have to destroy, our monarchies, being that of the, Baldes in Colorado or the, Sonkos in Nyomi and so on. But for Great Britain, and particularly during her, long, tenure as queen, she brought stability, economic, stability, the IRA, troubles, all these were things that, during her tenure, she was able to, to solve. I think one of her abiding legacies is really her ability to keep, Great Britain, as one. Although of course, she lost the empire, or well, she lost a great chunk of the British Empire. But Britain, as a nation, as a country, remains. But of course, also with the Scottish, desire for independence. The jury is still out on that.
Right.
And really coming to the rest of the world, she symbolized, I think, tradition, and that is very, very important. Tradition and continuity. I think those are two things, she symbolized for Great Britain and for the rest of the world.
Now, as a historian, you have respectable knowledge about issues and events that have to do with the royal family. What should we expect in the coming days?
Well, already, Charles, has been declared, the new king. So from 70 years of having a queen to, long live the king now. That's what the British papers, will say tomorrow, in their tomorrow's editions. And also this reminds us, of, the summer of 1952, when her father died, suddenly. And there was a lot of mourning, in the Gambia here, because then we are, a British colony, and there was this, very, very strong attachment, to the UK. So Charles will take over, and then, I'm sure the coronation, will take place, sometime early next year, and then, she will, her, legacy will continue, through, I am sure, the, able hands, of King Charles. No, but really coming back to her, she gave, she had a very, very close tie with a political leader. In 2017, she granted audience, to President Barrow. I think that was the first audience, with the Gambian president, in close to 30 years. Sadauda met, the Queen over half a dozen times, and of course it was the Queen also, who knighted Sadauda in 1966, knighted Sir Ferdinand Singate, 2 years later, knighted Sir Aliu Jack, 2 years later. So the Queen had, very, very close ties, with Gambian political leadership, really dating back, to the days of independence, up to the, advent of power of, His Excellency President Barrow.
Right. Hasum, thank you very much for talking to us here on the news. That was Hasum Sise, the director of the National Center for Arts and Culture, talking to us about issues and events around the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Well, we pray that, her soul continues to rest in peace there. And moving on, a 2-day sensitization of stakeholders on Ecowas trade protocols for an improved free movement of goods across the region is underway at a hotel in Kololi. The forum aimed at enforcing the existing trade laws by the Ecowas member countries. Baba Silla tells us more.
Officials are renewing commitment for the full implementation of the laws on free movement of goods and services within the 15 ECOWAS member states. The team leader of Ecowas, Dr. Amadou Tarinu, called for the full execution of the laws, calling on member states to open up their borders for trade as spelled out in the regional bloc's trade agreement.
Ecowas to make sure that we can boost the trade, which is a tool for deepening the regional integration. Trade is the best. So we have so many protocols, and to make sure that the free movement of people, goods and services, we should be able to understand what is behind the different protocols and make sure that we can benefit all the stakeholders, all the traders, all the customers can have access to good, safe food and affordable. That's why we are here today.
The well-timed forum, which comes amid increased challenges in cross-border movement, gathered different stakeholders who described the forum as significant in the liberalization of trade within member states and the continent as a whole.
ECOWAS is there. It's a regional body. The laws governing the ECOWAS are there. So to me, this is just to remind people or to kind of inform people about the existing protocols. But we have a lot of challenges to that, right? Because right now the movement of free goods, the movements of goods and services within the ECOWAS member states, at times there's a lot of experiences which really delay trade facilitations.
Movement of goods, people and goods has been there for many years. It's been documented, it's been signed by all ECOWAS member states. But the implementation, the enforcement is the issue. So here I can say it's just a workshop, of a repetitious workshop, where we repeat, but what is needed is to ensure that there is implementation of the protocols that has been agreed by government, by the different governments. That is the only thing I would love to see after this workshop.
The free movement of goods, services, and people remains a big challenge within the ECOWAS member states despite laws put in place by the regional bloc. But officials are optimistic that with aggressive sensitization, existing trade protocols will be fully implemented by member states. Bawasila, GRTS.
Now, the Director General of the Department of Immigration has spoken of his resolve to build the capacities of immigration personnel as part of an ongoing reform of the Gambia Immigration Department. Director General Sidi Mukhtar Toure made the remarks during an interview on the checkpoint. He explained that there's been an increase in revenue collection during the year under review due to the commitment and hard work of his personnel. Here is an excerpt.
Revenue generation, that one is one of the biggest area where we are scoring, success. We have registered maximum success. And colleagues, from the Ministry of Finance, know about this. When we took over at that time, perhaps I will avail you at the end of this interview, the revenue trajectory of this institution for the past 10, 11 years. You will see for yourself, because Rocco speak. We were realizing something like between 60 and 75, and only in a few instances where you have 80-something million per annum. But right now, we are always hitting 100 and 100 above millions, every year that we are pumping into government coffers. They are included, but there are also other immigration fees. And those immigration fees are mainly the ones that we are reliant on. Because if it is the cost of the ID, for example, it's $450. Government owns only 160 out of this. Because it's a BOT, the company takes $240. We take 106. So you may think that it's because of the cost of the ID, that's why the revenue is going up. No. Previously, the whole money that is accrued on the sale of the ID is 100% government revenue. And now it's purely sharing. So you realize that the 160, as compared to before, when it was $200 to $300, everything goes into the government coffers. It's the same also with the residence and work permit. Before, the $1,500 that you pay is 100% government owned. But today, what you are paying, the company takes 60% of it, and we are left with 40%. But notwithstanding, we are still registering success by way of maximizing revenue collection. And this is a way that we think we needs to be recognized.
And that was the Director General of the Department of Immigration, CD Mukhtar Toure there. The full interview will be aired on Saturday at 9 p.m. And moving on, a two-day interfaith dialogue meant to promote peaceful coexistence amongst people from different religious and cultural backgrounds is underway in the country. The forum was organized by the social pastoral arm of the Catholic Church in the Gambia under a social cohesion and peace-building project. Ibrahim Jallo picks up the rest of that story.
This is said to be a holistic approach in fostering peace and unity between people of different religious, cultural, and ethnic backgrounds. Organizers say the forum is being organized under the theme, the role of religious leaders in the maintenance of peace and social cohesion in the Gambia.
It is really important that we call all religious leaders to discuss issues that are affecting religious tolerance and peace in the country. We all believe that dialogue is important. Without dialogue, we'll just be identifying the issues and there'll be more heated discussions, but no solutions that will be given. So it was important that we call the Islamic Council, the Christian Council, the Ahmadiyya community, the Pastors Alliance, and every other sect of religion in the country to discuss and share ideas of how to foster peace, how to bring tolerance, religious tolerance in the country.
Representatives of the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council and the Christian Council, Imam Abdul Karim Kuyate and Margaret Keita, respectively, call for peace and love in society, according to the teachings of Islam and Christianity.
Islamic Council stands for this. We stand for the maintenance of peace. We stand for anything and everything that has to do with peaceful collaboration, tolerance, in as much as we do not compromise our Islamic fundamentals and principles. And that no religion will want to sacrifice your fundamentals and principles for the sake of anything. But above all, we have certain things in common. We have the Gambia in common, and we have many other things in common.
From Christian Council, we tell you that we love you, and we appreciate you, and we cherish you. And the second thing I want to say is that God created all and gave us the right, the free will, to either believe Him or not to believe Him.
Imam Babali, a renowned Islamic scholar, claimed that some people, especially religious leaders, are often judgmental, saying that is against the teachings of Islam.
The Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very fair to us, and He treats us fairly and justly. And He have given us our responsibility. And our responsibility has taught us that we should not be judgmental to others. And most preachers today are very much judgmental.
John Charles Njai is the chairperson of the Association of Non-Governmental Organizations, Tango. He said Gambians should embrace peace and unity, irrespective of religious and cultural affiliations, citing the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. That's what the Universal Declaration says, that we are all born free. As a matter of fact, we are not even born into culture and religion. It's just a matter of where you were born. You could be, your parents could be Christians and you are born in a Muslim home, and you are brought up in the Muslim way. So we are all born free. We have the power of choice.
Meanwhile, Caritas, with funding from the Catholic Relief Service, has rolled out a series of political and religious dialogues since the inception of this social cohesion and peace-building project in 2017. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
Now, Samasang Federation on Thursday launched the back-to-school package worth more than $4 million. The package, as Khadijatu Jallo reports, is meant to complement government's efforts in education.
As the 2022-2023 academic year gets closer, Child Fund Gambia, in collaboration with its affiliated body, Sama Cairo Federation, is galvanizing efforts aimed at supporting school-going children for the new academic year. The Federation manager gave an overview of the back-to-school package in enhancing quality and affordable education for the children of this country.
To support and enhance learning in Kombo Central and Kombo East districts, which is our area of operation, Sama Cairo and Child Fund, the Gambia agreed on providing a back-to-school package for children's use both in school and at home. As we converge here today to witness the handing over of the Federation's back-to-school package to community associations for onward delivery to the direct beneficiaries, I feel proud to announce that the Federation procured 60,000 branded exercise books targeting 5,000 beneficiaries enrolled and assisted. 2,000 branded school bags targeting 2,000 enrolled children, which is a bit biased, plus 3,000 curriculum textbooks and 3,000 supplementary textbooks for children's use. The above-mentioned materials together attracted a total calculated cost of $4,040,000 Gambian dollars.
The regional director, Western 2, Lamin Fatajo, commended Sama Cairo Federation and partners for the role they continued to play in complementing government's efforts in education.
We all know that families are very stressed these days, even to keep their daily bread. It's a problem much more expenses on education. I am proud of this federation because they prioritize their interventions. Prioritize in the sense that they look at the situation and respond to the needs of the situation. We look at the amount of books that are supplied today, indicated that is going to have a huge impact on the lives of these children.
The country director, Child Fund the Gambia, Musukuta Koma, renewed her office's commitment to partner with stakeholders to improve teaching and learning in schools.
As enshrined in the country's strategic plan, Child Fund, working with partners, is committed and dedicated to improving the literacy and the numeracy skills of children. I mean age-appropriate literacy and the numeracy, so that comprehension is attained by every child at the right age. We know that it's not going to be an easy journey. That's why we need each other to be able to do this.
She spoke of their resolve to support study classes and community libraries.
Once we design and establish the community libraries, we are going to equip them with learning materials. And I'm encouraging parents to allow their children to visit these educational centers that we call community libraries. We want to identify communities and make them education friendly. And for the children, we'll make sure that we work with community structures significantly to involve the VDC to ensure that whenever children are in these centers, they are not there just to waste time, but they are there to acquire some additional knowledge or improve on their skills.
Madam Koma called on parents to support the initiative by allowing their children to make use of the facilities and resources so as to acquire quality education. On behalf of the beneficiaries, Fatou Kamara, a parent, thanked Sama Cairo Federation for the intervention. Khadijatu Jallow reporting for GRTS News.
Now, as families and vulnerable communities are on high alert of disaster risk amidst the winds, the powerful windstorm accompanied by heavy winds on Wednesday didn't come by surprise in the Greater Banjul area. The aftermath has been serious damages to homes and properties of people. Several families in Lemon Newtown have suffered great loss and are in dire need of general assistance. By Ibrahim Cham visited the families and he filed in this report.
5 different households have been seriously affected by yesterday evening windstorms with similar damages. Siyakaba showed us the damage the wind has caused, blowing off at least half of his entire roof, thereby allowing the rain to have a free flow into their rooms, causing significant damage to their valuables. One of the inhabitants got injured as a log fell on her foot. Another woman was injured on the back.
Flat screen, tele, ay mobile yep yaaxu nañ ci ay wardrobe yaaxu nañ ci ak amna ay white ceiling yu nekk ci biir yep collapse dafa yaaxu so buñu xaymé ñu gis né dal lu yaaxu is from between $250 to $300,000 dal because so gisé société roof bi ay process mo fa nekk.
We proceeded to the home of Aliou Sarr, whose entire roof has been blown away, causing him and his entire family of 20 to camp in their neighbor's room. Aliou begged for the relevant authorities to come to their aid.
te néeg bi néegi suuf la su taw bi ñëwee yëpp dana yàqu.
At least 100 meters away, natives of Sambukunda were also awakened in the early hours in the morning to a crashing roof. Jacob Sambu, the patriarch of the household, stated that they lost everything. But he is grateful that no one was injured.
When I heard the wind blowing, it just suddenly came. So when it just suddenly came, we just heard a noise, woo, 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 then all the roof was just taken off. Each and every one of us was in. Even my wife was in bed. So most of this dust and then the ceilings in the inside, some of them fall on top of my wife's bed. So I just rush up and then go and check them how they are. And I found them just woke up. I say, okay. Then I opened the back door. Say, let them just take the back door.
A few electric poles were also caught up in the disaster. Engineers from NARIC were working tirelessly to restore the power lines, which can also be a recipe for disaster, as electrical lines were lowered to the ground. These are just a few of many casualties across the country during windstorms, as the realities of climate change in the Gambia overpowers the climate action and adaptation, thereby making the whole country vulnerable. Officials of the Central Forecast Office warned that heavy rains are predicted on Friday evening. Reporting for GRTS News, I'm by Ibrahim Cham.
Well, time now to take our first break. The news continues in just a moment. Do stay.
Always thirsty for more. A team of superheroes with special powers unite to redefine the way we are connected. Big Farber and Bagasi steps up your communication with the DOK service, giving you 1,000 minutes of talk time to one special person for $150 is only. Valid for 1 month. Enjoy your talk time. Type SUB and send by SMS to 135 to activate the TOK service. AfriCell got office with the power to change the world. AfriCell is setting trends once again. I'm sure you still love WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Viber. Your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell, knows this. That's why you can now enjoy more at the same price. Activate the social media bundle and be online for 24 hours for $10 is only.
Hello! Activate the social media bundle for $10 is only and receive 40 megabytes.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
How to sign up. Download and install the app from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. Launch the app and click Get Started. Enter your account number and the password that was sent to you via email or SMS and click Login. Accept the service agreement and proceed to the next page. Enter the token that was sent to you via SMS and email and click Verify. Choose a username. Enter the password that was sent to you via SMS or email. Choose your password and click Confirm. Select a transaction authentication type and click Verify. If you selected PIN as the authentication type, choose your 4-digit PIN, enter it again and click Confirm. If you selected OTP, an OTP will be sent to you via SMS and email. Set your security questions and answers and you are all set. Now you can log in with your new username and password. You can also enter your username and log in with your fingerprint or facial recognition if this feature is supported by your device. Let's go digital.
Welcome back and over now to news beyond our shores. UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth II following her death at the age of 96. Speaking outside Downing Street, she described Queen as a rock on which modern Britain was built, adding, Britain is the great country it is today because of her. She said the Queen was a personal inspiration to her as well as many Britons. Her devotion to duty is an example to us all.
We are all devastated by the news that we have just heard from Balmoral. The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world. Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built. Our country has grown and flourished under her reign. Britain is the great country it is today because of her. She ascended the throne just after the Second World War. She championed the development of the Commonwealth from a small group of 7 countries to a family of 56 nations, spanning every continent of the world. We are now a modern, thriving, dynamic nation. Through thick and thin, Queen Elizabeth II provided us with the stability and the strength that we needed. She was the very spirit of Great Britain, and that spirit will endure. She has been our longest ever reigning monarch. It's an extraordinary achievement to have presided with such dignity and grace for 70 years. Her life of service stretched beyond most of our living memories. In return, she was loved and admired by the people in the United Kingdom and all around the world. She has been a personal inspiration to me and to many Britons. Her devotion to...
Well, our thoughts and prayers are with the people of London. And now we bring you news on the weather, courtesy of the Central Forecast Office. Well, we take another short break. We'll be right shortly. Well, with that, we come to the end of this edition of the news at 2000 hours. But before we go, a quick look at our top stories tonight. His Excellency President Adama Barrow presides over the swearing-in ceremony of 2 permanent secretaries at the State House. A 2-day sensitization of stakeholders on Ecowas trade protocols for an improved free movement of goods across the country kicks off in Kololi. A 2-day interfaith dialogue meant to promote peaceful coexistence amongst people from different religious and cultural backgrounds is underway in the country. And away from home, Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest reigning monarch, has died aged 96. And UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth II following her death aged 96. Well, that was all in this edition of the news. Many thanks for watching. I'll be back at 2200 hours for a more detailed broadcast of these and other stories. Enjoy the rest of our programs meanwhile.